It's one of the most anticipated days on the high school and college football calendar, and it's National Signing Day, and we'll do it Rutgers football style here today on Our Vision, presented by AT&T. It's the National Signing Day special right here on ScarletKnights.com. Thanks for hopping aboard on this Wednesday morning. Danny Breslauer here with you. We're joined today by Rutgers Director of Football Recruiting Operations, Tark Ahmad, as well as MSG Varsity's Mike Quick. You can catch a quick 60, 8 p.m. tonight. Kyle Flood will be joining him. But let's first go to what National Signing Day is like in this building. Currently, we are in the Hale Center, in the coach's office wing up on floor 2 on the Bush campus here in Piscataway. Tark, you're here all the time, every day. What is it like today that is so different from the others?
Today's an exciting day. Today's, the culmination of a few years of hard work. It's celebrating, the recruiting class that we put together. So guys will be running around, checking the fax machine, and getting the NLIs to come on in.
Beauty of signing day is that the fax machine is almost always the #1 entity spoken about. Is that today you're looking for that piece of paper to roll through. That anticipation, does it really go across the staff at this point?
It is. We have a good idea about who's going to come in. We try to organize the best we can to make sure they come in at a certain time. But there's excitement, no matter how much we know what's going to happen. There's a lot of excitement when that fax actually comes through.
To Mike Quick now, the high school football guru in the tri-state area. For you, a culmination of a year of coverage, and Tark just used the word culmination. You're with these kids all year long, whether it's games, the show, you get to see them play the games, go through practices. Now that you get to signing day and they get the chance to have their day in the spotlight, what's it like for you as someone who covers them all year?
Dan, you know what I like most about it is when I started covering high school sports 26 years ago, we didn't have a lot of guys playing major college football from the tri-state area. We had even less playing in the NFL. Yesterday I was getting ready for tonight's show. We now have more local high school football talent playing in the NFL than we have local high school basketball talent playing in the NBA. There has been a big switch, and Rutgers University is a big reason why. When this school got relevant and this school got good, when Greg came on 12, 13 years ago, all of a sudden people started to look at football at this area in a very different light. You're going to be amazed on tonight's show because we're going to go back and we're going to show you footage of about 27 kids that are currently or either in the NFL or have played in the NFL that grew up in this area. It's going to blow you away because we don't have that. I love the fact that I can say there's better football talent in the tri-state than there is basketball talent, and there really is, and Rutgers is a big reason why.
And a decade of transformation that not only began with Greg Schiano's arrival and now Kyle Flood as head coach, but something now at the end of the decade, we can call 03 to 13 a decade, if you will, that with Rutgers moving to the Big Ten, we'll get into that angle later on, just how important that is for recruiting as well as Rutgers football in general. 2012, it was a year of transition in a program, certainly, and for you last year, what happened right before signing day, Kyle Flood stepping in, maintaining a top 25 recruiting class in the country by all major outlets. What was that like that week leading up to signing day last year versus the week leading up to signing day this year? Very different dynamics, I imagine.
Definitely. I remember it like it was yesterday, me and you sitting in these chairs going through last year's class. Coach Flood did an amazing job keeping that class together, showing everyone the vision of what he had in store for Rutgers football this year, winning a Big East championship. And just a sprint. The week of that, like you just said, there was an absolute sprint to sign that class, keep it all together.
The local flavor of that class, and Mike Quick will go to you for this, 2012, another New York, New Jersey, Connecticut heavy group. Rutgers graduates a couple from those states. What about the recruiting from Kyle Flood, especially late when he came in for that final week, kept the local kids staying home?
Dan, the key was very simple. Get the big fella. Get Darius Hamilton. Keep Darius Hamilton, and everything would be okay. You have to remember, Kyle got the job, I think, on Monday. Darius commits on Tuesday, and then you land a top 25 class nationally. Darius was the key commit. But the timing, and I know that Greg Schiano took a lot of heat for leaving. I think when you look back at when he left, Tark, I think if he had left a week or two earlier, makes it a lot more difficult. I thought the way that played out, 11th hour, going, Kyle comes in, takes the job. I thought the transition was seamless. I thought you guys as a staff did a great job. I thought Tim Pernetti, the AD, he got out there and did some recruiting and the whole thing. I thought the way the staff worked, when at a moment you didn't know exactly where things would turn, as a staff you worked great, as the AD worked great, Darius making the commitment, making sure Leonte, who had verbaled, stayed true to his commitment. And that was it. That when Darius said on our show last year he was coming, all things were good with Rutgers football, because what it did, it validated Coach Flood right there on the spot that not only was he a recruiter, but he was now the new head coach, and he could keep those guys that he had to get. It was one of the signature moments in the history of Rutgers football.
Tark, your positive rebuttal to that?
Oh, I mean, I agree. Everything worked out extremely well. Darius definitely was the catalyst, to finishing up that class, to keeping everything together. It could have went either way. If Coach Shiano made a move a little bit earlier on, it also could help us develop more relationships or finalize some other pieces that were going on there. But everything worked out. I mean, the class was one of the best that we've ever brought in. Coach Flood did an amazing job with finishing that class.
Let me ask you this. This is a big day for you, but you're all like tight right now. To me, the only thing missing on this show right now is I feel that Dan should be saying, let's go to the fax machine where Fooch is standing by, and this is what you get. The fax is in. Back to you guys. I mean, that's what you get with Fooch. I think we have to get Fooch here. Relax. You guys are doing an unbelievable job. Who's more nervous today, you or Coach Flood?
Me. I am inherently nervous.
It doesn't show.
No, Coach Flood is very relaxed and calm all the time.
He did.
He has an amazing demeanor about himself.
I saw him before. Well, that's because he learned from one of the all-time greats, Vinny O'Connor.
Up at St.
How
Francis.
about that? Dan, did you know this? That Kyle's dream job as a head coach was to be the head coach of St. Francis Prep.
Wow.
Couldn't get the job because his head coach is still there 55 years later.
Things happen for a reason.
How about that?
Things do happen for a reason. So Kyle Flood, of course, now the head coach of Rutgers football. We'll get into that 2012 class in just a moment and the 3 players who ended up needing to play, which is great. You get to redshirt 16 of 19, and we'll get into the 3 that did in just a moment. But for those that are waking up, you're at breakfast now, getting ready for your job. Thanks for tuning in here on Our Vision, presented by AT&T. Danny Breslauer, Tark Ahmad, the Rutgers Director of Recruiting Operations, Mike Quick from MSG Varsity. Let's tell you how to follow the day's events at Our Football on Twitter, as well as Our Football Show on Facebook. Lock in there. Social media, don't kid yourself. We know you're on it at work all the time. So stay there, continue doing what you're doing, and that's where you'll see the commits, the NLIs, the National Letter of Intents, as they roll in. First, they get verified by the Office of Compliance. We get them. Jason Baum will have them. They'll be up on Twitter. And they'll be ready to go. That is this year in recruiting. Let's go back again to 2012 for a moment. Of course, you share the Big East title. And in that, you have 3 true freshmen play. Let's start with Darius Hamilton. And Quick mentioned it a moment ago, how big he was to commit and to do it right after Kyle Flood became the head coach. He was just as big in getting a defensive stop at Cincinnati late in the year. Yeah,
Darius was a significant contributor this year. Was able to get about 20 plays a game and really made some huge plays throughout the year. As you see right here, big 4th down stop. Changed the game. I believe we scored right after that stop, which was a huge part of the season.
Call him a little hammer. That's something that MSG Varsity really coined for the most part.
Jimmy Cavallo.
That's
I
right.
heard Darius doesn't like that anymore.
No, really?
No, does not want to be the little hammer.
That's fine. Fair enough. But
Darius
either
is
way,
not a little human being.
No, he's not little.
No,
that's for sure. That being said, he certainly puts the hammer on running games, and he puts the hammer on a lot of other things as a defensive player. What's the ceiling for a kid like that?
He came in so high. He came in with great technique, excellent use of his hands, strong, ready to go. So he's just going to continue to grow and continue to get better as he grows physically.
Now, oftentimes, another one of his high school teammates, you don't get as much, we'll call it DAP, when you're being a special teams guy for the most part. But Leonte Carew, what he was able to do in the special teams role, especially a block punt at Temple, really, I think every time a punt or kick return happened, we heard the name Leonte Carew this year, came in as a wide receiver, but he can do just about anything on the football field.
Yeah, Leonte had a huge block kick here. Was playing on almost every single special team throughout the year. Started and finished the year, making significant plays. And he's going to have a great future. We had an excellent receiving core this year. He's going to step in and be very productive for us.
Now, Carew, someone that you watched, of course, a lot in high school. Sometimes you're a more primary guy. Even at Don Bosco Prep, you can slide down the depth chart a little bit. But for someone to accept your role, come in, and that block punt, that changed the game in Philadelphia. Rutgers down 10-0 at the half. They score 35 in the second, in large part because of that little jolt to them with the block punt. What did you see from him in high school and then year one in college?
Well, I think when you look back at Leonte, one of the things you remember most is the big 70-yard touchdown reception down in Florida against Manatee. But I remember the night up at Fordham University in the Bronx when they played St. Edwards from Ohio, a big, strong, physical, had the uniforms just like the Green Bay Packers. If you sized up both teams, you're like, Bosco doesn't have a chance. And I remember calling Fooch after the game that night, and I said, I'm going to tell you this right now. There's no way, and Greg was still the coach then, there's no way that Greg can redshirt Leonte Carew next year. He goes, he's that good of a receiver. I said, Fooch, let me tell you, right now this kid is a terror on kickoff teams. He came down that night, made every tackle on kickoff team. He just blocks well. He's one of the most physical receivers, Tark, that I've ever covered in high school, because off the ball, I think Leonte Carew does special things. You know, you talked about hand play with Darius Hamilton. Up there they teach violent with your hands, violent with your hands. They even teach it to the receivers. I think Leonte Carew is going to be an absolutely special player, and both those young guys continue in the tradition of Rutgers football where both Greg and Kyle want to recruit great players but better kids, and both Darius and Leonte fit that mold.
Tark, can you speak to how hard it is for someone who played primarily special teams this year in 13 games to make that big of an impact, not just on an analyst but on really the Rutgers football community at large?
It's hard. He changed games. I mean, you look at his body of work throughout the entire season. He changed games, putting us in good position to get into scoring position on a blocked kick, kickoff returns. He did an amazing job.
Let's go to the third guy in the group of three that ended up playing. He battled through injuries. Kyle Federico, the kicker from Florida, had a 50-yarder against USF. Another game changer, really, in terms of that kick for a game you end up winning on. One heck of a spin move, but we'll get to that later. When it comes to Kyle Federico coming back off of injury this coming year, what can we expect from him?
Right here you see his leg, hitting a 50-plus yarder right there. Very is improving right now every single day, getting healthy, going to be ready to go for next season.
To the early enrollees, and they're up on the board, and we'll have to make sure that when it comes to the early enrollees, we'll get to in just a little bit. But right now, the commits, these are guys that right now are ready to get going when it comes to the National Signing Day Special. We're here on Our Vision, presented by AT&T. Danny Breslauer, Tark Ahmad, Mike Quick here with you. The big board is to our left. The class of 2013 is set to go, and our first name is going up on the board, and it's in the form of a tight end. And Taylor Marini is your first guy to go off the board. Tark, get us started with the tight end from Florida.
Taylor's a big, strong tight end. Weighed in over 250 pounds when he was up here 2 weekends ago. Very physically developed, ready to go. I think we're going to play some of his highlights coming up. Extremely good on the line of scrimmage. Is able to block a 7 technique. You're able to run a power with a guy like that. Also extremely efficient in the passing game. Be able to catch the ball, make some plays afterward. He's a kid who will have the ability to play soon because of how physically developed he is.
From Oviedo, Florida, 6'4", 250. That's the development aspect you talk about. And you get to see some of his looks here. The number 40 tight end prospect nationally by ESPN.com. His father, Tony, played basketball for UCF in the 1980s, so I'm sure he knows box-out principles, too.
Oh, my goodness. His father is a huge human. His father is 6'7", absolutely massive. And you can see this kid's strength with these clips. He knocks people off the ball. He's able to block a 6 technique, block a 7 technique. Then also he gives you a good element in the passing game. Working in the intermediate, long routes. Right here you see him again running his feet, finishing blocks. Just an excellent player for the program because of his ability to do both. Block on the line of scrimmage, move, and then catch the ball down the field.
He's also a long snapper in high school, so somebody who brings that skill to the program too, if necessary.
Yeah, it's great having big long snappers. Very, very excellent.
So tight end is your first NLI coming through the fax machine, and that always shows you the first guy to get the fax in. Either he gets to school early and he knows where the office is. That's always a good start. 2, He gets it to the great people in his office down there. They send it in. Does that show you initiative that right away the first guy through your fax machine is Taylor Marini?
Oh, certainly. It says a lot about his character. What also, I mean, another thing about him is that he made it to 4 games this year. Someone from Orlando, Florida, that has made it to 4 games this year. This guy's a great family. Committed to us early. I was able to show them around in the summer when they came up here. He's going to be a very valuable asset to Rutgers.
Guys like that, 4 years from now, are captains of your football team. Don't know anything about him, but hearing what you guys are saying, those are guys that become captains of football teams.
No question. He does everything right.
Yeah.
That kid will do everything right on the field, off the field, and like you're saying, he'll be one of the leaders.
We'll have another tight end to speak about in a little bit. We'll get to him too, as his NLI has come through as well. But we'll go to linebacker first. We're not even 20 minutes into this thing, and we've got 3 or 4 faxes already in. Shows the initiative. We'll go to the linebacker from Rochester, New York, Devin Carter. He's also a running back, which is what he'll play at this level. 6'2", 230, Brighton High School, was a two-way performer. It's his yards per carry in high school that stand out, over 7 pretty much every year. Yeah,
his season was cut short, but you're going to see incredible athleticism here from someone that measured in over 6'2", over 230 pounds, is able to run away from a defense right there with very good football. So through these clips, you'll see a lot of things. You'll see him as a linebacker coming up here. He's in the center of the field. I think intercepting this ball and taking it about 55 yards. Just, again, an incredible athlete. People that size that are able to control their bodies, that are able to accelerate, who has run a sub 4.6 40, are great assets to the program.
How many college linebackers?
Look at that athleticism right there, able to spin away from a tackle. I believe he spins away from another one coming right here. Great footwork. He's going to be able to be a big back here that displays great balance, acceleration. Like I said before, being a sub 4.6 40. He'll be able to run away from defenses. He'll be able to be a guy that falls forward when he gets the ball. Just a really exciting player, a great pickup for Rutgers football, and a great person.
I like how he's sticking that offhand in people's
running
face
through people, exactly.
That's old school stuff. I like this guy, Carter.
At 6'2", 230.
That's a big boy.
He is a big kid.
How many college linebackers are going to want to stare down a 4.6 40 at 6'2", 230 and step in and try to make a tackle? Whether it's waist high, knee high, it doesn't make a difference.
Hey, Tark, when you guys recruit kids now, how important is it for the running back, fullback guy to be able to catch the football since offenses have changed so much now?
Oh, yeah. I mean, you look at our backs the past few years, Ray Rice, Juwan Jamison, Savon Huggins, they do an incredible job coming out of the backfield. Ray Rice was able to line up in the slot, shake a linebacker, because that's a matchup. That's a win every single time. There's no linebacker. There's no Mike linebacker that can cover him. So that's a mismatch. Coming out of the back with the play-action game, you get a lot of guys in the flat. You get some guys on wheel routes, like Jameson's touchdown against Arkansas. So that's definitely something we look for.
Maybe one of the most important flat plays in Rutgers football history. You know, Brian Leonard against Louisville in the fourth quarter set up what ended up being the game-winning field goal. So having a guy at that kind of size, not saying Brian Leonard, obviously Rutgers football fans have a certain stigma, you know, of a guy that's ready to come in and be as selfless as possible. But that said, when it comes to a kid with that kind of size, that kind of speed, you have to think about it right away.
Devin Carter's another New York big running back.
Right, upstate New York.
Correct, exactly. Fits the mold, over 6'1", 6'2", and then great speed and great athleticism.
So the NLIs keep rolling in here on the National Signing Day special. Danny Breslauer with Rutgers Recruiting Operations Director Tark Ahmad, Mike Quick of MSG Varsity. Hey, it's breakfast, but we're working and we're here at the Hale Center to give you all of the National Signing Day details. It is a long day for Tark. It's a long day for the whole Rutgers football program, but it's a great day with a bunch of commits rolling in. And the next one is already on the board, and that is a wide receiver at 6'4" from Delaware, and Andre Patton.
This is a name you guys are going to get used to hearing. Andre is one of the most exciting receivers I've seen in a few years. I got to watch these clips last night. I think every single one's a touchdown. I mean, this kid is absolutely incredible. Multi-sport athlete, has incredible athleticism, body control, skill. I think we offered Andre as a sophomore. Has a great family. They've been up here a number of times. See that acceleration pulling away from the DBs right there?
How about the throw by the quarterback?
It's a good look.
If he wasn't 5'9",
exactly.
looking at him.
Pretty good throw, rolling right.
Number one prospect in Delaware you're looking at right now, according to Rivals.com.
Number one prospect in far more than Delaware. This kid is a really exciting player. has great physical ability. Over 6'3". Don't have a speed on him, but you can actually see him accelerating from the defense in every single play that you see here on tape.
His older brother Eric plays football at Delaware. Currently 8 touchdowns last year.
Look at those ball skills
yeah.
right there. I mean, absolutely incredible ball skills, able to hurdle the defender to get in the end zone.
And you know where some of that athleticism comes from. He was the Delaware Defensive Player of the Year as well. So someone who on both sides of the ball was excellent.
Yeah, he's someone that the staff fought over. Just has such amazing playmaking ability right here. Again, you see his body control. He's playing at full speed and making cuts. It's a great, great skill.
Finished the year defensively with 68 tackles and 3 interceptions to go along with that frame at 6'4", 195. So Delaware, Florida, upstate New York, state of Rutgers, it's expanding. It's going everywhere. I mean, northeast corridor, southeast, it doesn't matter at this point.
Yeah, you know, you have to have a large recruiting ground and make sure you have success. We call it the state of Rutgers, a 4-hour circle around here, and then the state of Florida, where we draw the majority of our talent from.
That, in your recruiting analysis, I'm sure you saw, let's say, circa 2005 with the Inside Bowl all the way through now. It just continues to balloon.
Yeah, but still the most special recruit you guys ever got here was out of New Rochelle.
That's
and you
right.
take all these stars and all these rankings, and I remember when Greg signed that class with Ray Rice, and people were killing him in the newspaper. And I called up Greg and I said, Coach, as long as you have Ray Rice, you're going to be fine. None of these writers over in New Jersey have any idea what Ray Rice is all about.
Just a Super Bowl champ, that's all.
That's it.
That's
you know,
all.
and that, so, you know, we put all these stars and these ranking systems. You know, players play. You can never judge heart. Can't do it. You know, and Ray was a guy. If Ray played his high school football in northern New Jersey, you would have had to battle every school in America to get his talents. He was hidden in New Rochelle. 2-star, 2.5-star. Okay.
Devin McCourty was a 2-star too. I think we know how that turned out. As
so
well
was his
as
brother Jason.
right,
Yeah.
and as well as you know, Courtney Green coming in with Ray Rice from that same group. So all of these guys that Rutgers knew would be diamonds in the rough.
Hey, I don't think Ronnie Geralt had any stars.
No.
You know, listen. You know, again, it's you know, you like those guys that come in. Everyone wants to have their fanny kissed as a recruit and everything like that. But you get that guy with the edge who doesn't have a lot of guys, guy's always going to believe in you. Always.
You said
and they're hungry.
Absolutely.
Those kids are hungry. They haven't had the attention the other kids have. They haven't been, you know, touted as the next superstar, and they want it.
And they'll eventually get it if they put in the work. Now, you said you can't judge necessarily from a star system. You know what you can judge? You can judge an NFL family pedigree, and that's our next commit. His NLI just came through the fax machine. It's a KLECKO. It's another Jay KLECKO. This one is Josh KLECKO. Of course, the son of Joe, the brother of Dan. There's Super Bowl rings in that family, and there are multiple Pro Bowls in that family too. Defensive tackle from Red Bank Catholic.
Yeah, this is another kid who's extremely developed. You watch these clips, the way he uses his hand, get off the ball, gets rid of offensive linemen, and then has great acceleration. I was able to hang out with his family a number of times when he came up here on unofficial visits, as his dad would use me as a demonstrating tool as an offensive lineman, throwing me around. But another player that has a great family who will come in here, is going to excel and reach his potential.
The all-shore defensive player of the year was Josh KLECKO.
You know what, Daniel? The only problem with Kleck this year, he missed 4 games, got hurt. Early in the preseason, they had a real good scrimmage with Bergen Catholic. And you could see that day up in Oradell that he was dominating up front, the line of scrimmage. And then he got hurt. But then once he got back, interception, touchdown. So you knew he was hungry to get back. Missed 4 games. Listen, as Tark said, comes from a great family. You can see when you watch old clips of his dad, you see similar. I mean, he looks like a wrestling guy, an old WWE, throwing people out of the way, staying low.
I mean, it's amazing the way he uses his hands. He is violent with his hands. Just gets off the ball, locks on the offensive lineman, and then gets rid of him. Makes the play.
Defensive linemen sometimes hard to judge because of stats and things of that nature that we fall in love with. Tackles for loss is sometimes a good way to have an indication of how a guy gets into the backfield penetration-wise, but he's someone that you really need to know the intangibles before you can really understand what he brings to the game.
You know what a good way to judge a guy? How many guys on that offensive line are making sure they know where 73 is at all times? Forget the stats. You know what? The coaches know. they know, and he's going to be a real good addition to this football program.
Or are turning their heads as they watch him run to the quarterback
Exactly.
after the next one. What's remarkable about a guy like KLECKO is that you grow up in a family where your dad has 4 Pro Bowls, your brother has 3 Super Bowl rings, which didn't happen until he was a little bit older, but that's a ton of pressure to go out and have the career that he's had at Red Bank Catholic.
He had a great career, and his best football is ahead of him. He's going to continue to grow physically. He's going to end up being a very large kid. Very, very big. Over 6'2". Strong hands already. Shook his hand on his official visit, and he just engulfed my hand.
See, Nat, I love that you brought that up. I think the handshake tells you so much about
anybody.
Anybody.
2 things. Hand size and the girth of your hand.
Yeah.
He has meat cleavers. He shakes your hand, and it's just...
It's big.
Yeah, it's exciting.
It's big.
National Signing Day special rolls on Our Vision, presented by AT&T. Danny Breslauer, Tark Ahmad, Mike Quick. If you're just waking up, if you're heading to work, thanks for tuning in to ScarletKnights.com. We've rolled through a few of the national letters of intent that have come through the fax machine so far. We have another, and that's Anthony CIOFFI. CIOFFI, the defensive back at 6 foot 180 from Springfield, Jonathan Dayton High School. Get a look at CIOFFI's highlights right now in North Jersey. We're up there, we're here. We have the idea of what's going on here.
You're going to see an excellent athlete on this tape. A kid that was a state champion in the 100. A kid that has great body control. Another person comes from a great family. He will excel to meet his potential. You're going to see right here a great athlete. Pulls down the ball. He's the quarterback. Slips past a few defenders. Is able to make this guy miss and just accelerate past a lot of people.
CIOFFI also had 7 kick or punt returns of 60 yards and more, something that he can do with a dynamic ability. He was Star Ledger's 2nd team All-State, number 31 safety prospect nationally. Where does he slide in?
He's a corner. I don't see him as a safety. Someone that is that loose, has that length, 6 foot, and it can accelerate. You have to project as a corner. You don't see many high school corners, so you really take them from other positions. But when you're a state champion in New Jersey in the 100, when you have that body control, it's a great corner prospect.
I'll tell you this, just watching him on tape right here, you know who he reminds me an awful lot of? A young man by the name of Stephen Gregory. Stephen Gregory had the touchdown in the butt fumble against Sanchez and the Jets.
Right.
Stephen Gregory played his high school football on Staten Island at Curtis High School. Stephen Gregory did a little bit of everything. Till this day, when I did my top 10 high school football players that I've ever seen in the last 15 years, Stephen Gregory was at number 6. But as far as players that could do everything on a football field, never saw a player better than Stephen Gregory. When I look at Anthony, I see those variables right there, the way he could put the ball, take it, and run. And I love it how you say, because you project him into play in the secondary. Stephen Gregory goes off to Syracuse. Nobody really knew about him. Flipped between receiver and defensive back. Free agent, Chargers. Been in the league now for about 6-7 years. There are similarities when I watch that tape. And his old coach at Dayton, Joe George, who's at South Brunswick right now, when we were getting ready for a South Brunswick-Piscataway game this year, he spoke glowingly of Anthony. He's like, he's one of the best people I've ever been around, and a terrific football player who, like you said, Tark, whose upside is through the roof. And Joe George knows football.
Took him 9 months to win a state title at South Brunswick, I think.
Yeah.
It didn't take
Good
too long.
football coach. How about that in a New Jersey state championship out in your backyard here at Rutgers? You had Joe George, Staten Island.
And he won twice at Franklin as well, I believe.
Yes, he did. Very good coach going against Eddie Guerreri, Manalapan, Staten Island. Crazy. 2 Staten Island guys out here going back and forth. It was a lot of fun that day.
Your dream.
It was great. You can't understand a thing they're saying, but it was still really good football.
We've got a big board. We've got a Big East trophy. We've got analysts. We've got the whole show ready for you. We're going as long as it takes to get every fax in this morning. Our first break of the morning.
Where's Fooch? Where's Fooch at the fax machine?
Maybe he's hiding underneath the table or something along those lines. Back with more on ScarletKnights.com after this on Our Vision. The Hale Center on the Bush campus of Rutgers is your setting here in Piscataway. Danny Breslauer with Rutgers Director of Recruiting Operations Tark Ahmad. Mike Quick of MSG Varsity. A quick 60 tonight. We'll have Kyle Flood at 8 p.m. Kyle's schedule today is insane on National Signing Day. He has his 1 p.m. press conference on Our Vision and SNY. And then I think Jason Baum over here to my right, he's on everything pretty much the rest of the day. You can find Jason's Twitter, Jason Baum RU, to get all of that information. Speaking of Twitter, @OurFootball. Facebook, our football show. That's where you're getting these commits as they come in, as they're verified by the Office of Compliance. They go there first, then you come to us, and we give you a little bit of a rundown video as well as the big board of what to expect from them as they become prospects at Rutgers. Speaking of, we'll go back to that big board. We'll go back to tight end, this time to Pennsylvania, and to a long last name, Nick Arcidiacono, 6'5", 230, out of Archbishop Wood.
Yeah, Nick's an exciting player, extremely athletic, very strong. Another big, strong tight end that's able to block on the line of scrimmage, catch the ball, accelerate after the catch.
Oh, Leonard Lee.
See him a little Brian Leonard right there. But very dynamic, has the ability to play a lot of positions, has the ability to catch the ball and in traffic. You're going to see right there. Secured after a good hit.
First state title for his squad as a junior. Helped them to a school record 699 points. That's the standard ever for Pennsylvania AAA or 4A when it comes to offensive effectiveness. So having a tight end that can block and catch, very important in that regard.
Yeah, he does an incredible job. And another physically developed kid, 6'5", over 230. Just another exciting player who has a great brother that's in the program, comes from a great family, an extremely athletic family.
That brother is Brandon. Number 33 tight end nationally is Nick by ESPN.com. And in addition to his catching ability, blocking 6'5", 230, that kind of height, you spread that out and you make some linebacker fear for his life as he's backpedaling.
Yeah, I mean, that's what you're looking for. You're looking for long, strong, athletic kids. And Nick fits that mold. Nick has the ability to do a lot of different things. Block on the line of scrimmage, move in the backfield, come out of the backfield, line up as a slot, make a linebacker cover him in space. Exciting player.
What you were saying earlier about guys coming out of the backfield when we were talking about Devin Carter before with his size and making catches, how important is it to have that glue tight end, whether it's as a blocker or a catcher? And I remember a few years ago, Rutgers football, let's say 06, Clark Harris, Sam Johnson. I mean, they were the perfect complements in that regard, a catcher and a blocker. Having those two tight ends across from each other, Rutgers may have them here in Arcidiacono as well as Marini. What does that bring to a class?
I think it's the most underutilized position in high school football, the tight end. I really do. I don't think teams know how to defend it because guys never throw against it. I mean, when Sammy came here, I love Fred Stengel, the old Bergen Catholic coach, but I think Sam had maybe 12 receptions his senior year of high school. He was banged up a little bit, back in 2002. But I think you're going to start to see tight end numbers go up. And again, numbers, if you graded kids on statistics, there's be a lot of 5-7 kids running around playing Division I football.
Sure.
You can't grade it on that. But I think the development of tight ends in college is pretty unique because you don't know a lot of times what they can do in high school because I don't think the offenses use them enough.
Yeah, you said it earlier. I mean, you're predicting a lot on personal characteristics, sure, and the intangibles. This kid's an extremely high intangible kid that has all the physical characteristics to excel. I don't know the number of balls he caught this year, but you saw when he caught the ball, he was able to separate from defenses, able to catch it in traffic, was able to control his body, get in and out of breaks. So he displays all those characteristics, plus the intangibles, coming from a great family, being a hard worker, being on a state championship team, that will allow him to excel.
That's why I'm here. 8 receptions, 137 yards last year as a senior. Did a
Damn
lot of good blocking.
Yep.
A lot of good blocking, so that's what he's going to do, of course, when he comes in, gives you that height as a threat if you need to. Sam Johnson, I'll tell you who remembers him, HB Blades. He laid about one of the biggest blocks I've ever seen back in 05 on him on a run by Brian Leonard. So those are the kind of guys that come in, they make plays that win you games.
Can I tell a funny Sam Johnson story?
Go for it.
Is it okay, Jace? I'm going to tell a funny Sam Johnson story. It's a true story. You guys had just lost to West Virginia, that heartbreaker in 06. And that was Saturday night. On Sunday, the high school games are out in the stadium in the back. So it's the end of the day, and Jimmy Cavallo and I are out here watching the games. And we saw Greg's car out front. We wanted to say, hey, let's go say hi to Coach. We had called up Teal and Ray Rice. They came down that tough day. I called up Teal. I said, hey, come down, get your mind off it. So we stood in the end zone, Ray, Courtney Green, Mike Teal watching the game. So we come up here. Now they had all these padlock doors and everything in the butt. So we're walking down the hall. It's pitch black. We see Sam Johnson. Sam, we can't get in. He goes, no, you can't get in. Well, is Coach in? Yeah. Well, you can't get in. Sam, get us in. I've known you forever. He goes, I can't. Coach would kill me. I said, listen, Sam, you're a tight end. You're a 4'6" guy. Punch the code and run. He goes, I can't. I'm like, Sam, we just want to say hi to Coach. He's like this, boom, 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 boom. He took off down the floor. We turned in here. There was a light under Greg's door. Jimmy got all scared. All of a sudden, I was like, yeah, we better get out of here. Greg opened the door. It's the day after they lost. I'm like, oh, boy, this is going to, Jimmy's like, this is going to be bad. And Greg couldn't have been nicer. You know, we said, hey, what an incredible year. Go get that bowl game. And, but that's what I remember most about Sam, how fast he got down the hallway after he let us into this office.
Who knew he had that kind of speed up? The unbelievable stories you get here on National Signing Day. Speaking of, I think we have faxes to get to. As great as those stories are, let's get to another. Size, and we've mentioned size all morning, and there's not many bigger at the defensive end spot than what you'll see here from Eric WIAFE from Egg Harbor Township in South Jersey.
Eric was a kid we had in our camp, extremely strong, athletic, fast kid. Very raw, but you're going to see great physical traits here on this tape. Someone that's 6'5", over 260 pounds, that has the ability to move like this is an extremely exciting player to have in your program. Just saw him last weekend, and the kid's getting bigger every single time I see him. Thick, strong legs, very, very good get off. You see his ability to lock out right there, change direction. His biggest obstacle here at Rutgers will be not growing too much, growing into a 3 technique. Just because he's so athletic, you want to keep someone with his length outside, but that's a good problem to have. Getting off the ball right there. Got to come off the block, grab that kid. Very strong player with great potential. Press
of Atlantic City All-Star selection, high school teammate of Scarlet Knight defensive back to Jay Johnson, 3 stars by Scout.com. And this is a guy with size, and I'm not sure you talk about many defensive ends at 6'5", 260 across the board ever.
No, he has the athleticism to do it. That's the interesting thing about this kid. Being this big, he has an incredible athleticism.
I tell you what, he has pretty good discipline too, because he's not over pursuing, and I've never seen the guy before because he's a South Jersey kid, but I like what I see here.
The Twitter
You'd like
discussion.
him more if you saw him in person also. He is massive.
Well, you could tell after a couple of those sacks when he stands next to his teammates. He's a skyscraper against some of those guys.
I know many of the tweets this week, and I know Jason, talking to our friend Corey Kozak from ESPN, was saying the amazing aspects of this class in terms of size, and we'll get to more with our next letter of intent in a few moments, but a D end at 260 pounds, a couple D tackles at 270, 280, they're only going to get bigger when they get to a college weight room. I mean, what about that aspect, the strength and conditioning in any program? Most kids aren't 1/4 of the frame they're going to have in a year and a half.
Coach Cole is our secret weapon. He does an amazing job with these kids. Everyone that comes in loves him. He provides them with vision, he provides them with toughness, with discipline, and then they excel. I mean, everyone has bought in, and we've had great results.
Some of the names that you won't necessarily see in the press releases on game day, you won't necessarily even see in the press releases for National Signing Day. Who are the unsung heroes? I mean, in this building right now, I mean, there are so many that on a day like this, they get the recognition they deserve because of the time they put in.
Yeah, I mean, you start down in the weight room. They spend the majority of the off season with our guys, training them, getting them ready to go for the following year, growing, teaching them about toughness. And Coach Cole, one of his biggest strengths is the life skills that he presents, the growing them as men.
When Kyle did his show on SNY, I called him right after I saw it. The first thing I said was, I love this strength coach you have. I mean, as a parent, how couldn't you want your kid to be around a guy like that? Forget about pumping the weights, but you could just see the fact that he makes him run down the hall, in and out of the weight room. I mean, that's the type of guy as a parent, when you say, okay, you're going to go play for a great guy in Kyle Flood and his staff, but he's going to spend more time probably with the weight coach, and he just jumps off the page. I mean, that's a guy who is going to be successful for a long, long time. You could see it.
Certainly.
We are sitting in the coach's office wing of the Hale Center here on the 2nd floor in Piscataway. NFL bodies around us. The pictures behind us, in front of us, including a couple that just played in a Super Bowl. Anthony Davis, of course, Ray Rice, Alex Silvestro. 2 in 2 years for that guy. Not bad as well. We'll move on to the big board again. Scarlet with the background.
Wait, one real fast.
Sure.
Before we get to that.
Go for it.
who are you rooting for?
Uh-oh. Uh-oh.
Who was people down here at I need to know.
Tough question. Personally, Anthony Davis is like my little brother. Love the kid.
How big are you if he's your little brother?
Yep.
Stand up, Tark.
He's like a little brother. He and I came here at the exact same time. I mentored him for his first 2 years here. He and I have been through more than I could even describe on a 3-hour television show. But love the kid. He's literally like my little brother. He and I are going to meet up in Brazil in about 2 weeks.
That's awesome. It's a win-win day for Rutgers football on the Super Bowl Sunday. Really is.
Tark knows how to fly around the world right after National Signing Day, so he can get a couple weeks.
Ain't going to see Tark for a while.
So, back to the big board. Sebastian Joseph, defensive tackle, 6'4", 270. I'm not sure how much he needs to grow in the strength and conditioning program, but he's ready. He's out of Stroudsburg, Pennsylvania.
I absolutely love Sebastian. I absolutely love this kid's family. From a character standpoint, from a physical standpoint, and from a production standpoint. You are not going to see many people that are able to play the game at this size, at this level, with this athleticism. He has everything you can ask for. From a size standpoint, standing over 6'4", 270. From a speed standpoint, running under a 4.8 40 in our camp.
Wow.
From a production standpoint, you see that get off right there? That's a 270-pound person that is going to dominate football games.
Not only was the get-off great, when he came back on the reverse, he had the discipline to break down. He's really impressive.
He's one of the most exciting prospects that I've seen here. And he comes from an incredible family. I had one of the best weekends of my life, spending it showing his family around, getting to know them, and continue to develop our relationship.
Well, I think it's a given. He'll have the best smile in the 2013 recruiting class. That's a big-time smile.
He's a dynamic kid. He's in school plays. He's in student council. This kid is a renaissance man of our day.
Now, I don't want to get tied up in stats, as we said before, but anytime you have someone who had 40 tackles and 17 of them were for loss, that shows you how he's in the backfield 1 out of 2 plays.
Look at his technique right now. I mean, he is incredibly developed. You don't see someone that has this size, this athleticism, and that technique. That's right. You see that change of direction right there? Put his foot in the ground, accelerate.
It's like a running back changing direction.
It's really exciting. I mean, really, really exciting.
He's got you jacked up, Tark.
Yeah.
You going crazy voicing over these highlights. You really like this guy.
He accepted a bid to the Chesapeake Bowl, so he had a chance to showcase his skills after the season as well. So right away, Sebastian Joseph, the kind of guy that, based on the way you're talking, could step in and make waves in the depth chart too.
Yeah, he's got the potential to. I mean, I think we have a lot of great defensive tackles when you look at our depth right now, but he's got all the physical tools.
We'll keep on going down the list of our commits here on National Signing Day. The special Danny Breslauer, Tark Ahmad, the Director of Recruiting Operations for RU, Mike Quick of MSG Varsity. Hey, I'm a Greater Middlesex Conference guy from Highland Park. Here's a GMC guy, South Brunswick, Kendall Parks, TJ Taylor. He was a wideout and a D-back for South Brunswick, and Joe George, as we mentioned earlier, they win a state title with him playing there.
Another very exciting player. You're going to see him coming down here as a safety, I believe, or no, I guess not. Going over, making a play on the ball.
Yeah, that would be.
But I've loved meeting this kid, going through the years with him now. Kid that's been here a number of times, has great athleticism, has the ability to play both offensive and defense.
No doubt.
As a receiver, as a safety, who knows what happens with the kid if he grows a little bit. Has the athleticism of someone like Kasim Green. Is all over the field on plays. Starting as safety, but you'll see him make plays in the backfield consistently throughout the game.
He's played on the field. There's High Point Solution Stadium against
He's
Manalapan.
a hammer.
Oh, yeah.
Talking about another hammer, this kid will lay the wood on people.
He was great in that championship game on both sides of the football. And Tark, I think it's a great problem to have. I think this guy will play sometimes on both sides of the football. I think in certain packages on offense, he's going to be on the field in the next 4 years. But his defense, he did things that night against Manalapan that
he shut down the game.
He did.
He's able to get all over the field. Like, this is exactly what I'm talking about. Coming down the field, making a play for 1 year loss as a safety.
And with the speed he comes from his safety spot, he just comes up and closes, was knocking down balls that day. There was a nice matchup in that game. I'm not going to mention the young man from Manalapan because we can't, but I'll mention it on the show tonight maybe when we break it down. But he did some things that day that were terrific. There was major college talent on the field that afternoon at Rutgers Stadium when Manalapan was playing South Point. I watched him the first time this year against Piscataway, and I came out of there that night they lost that night. I'm like, I know he's good. I don't know what he's going to play. I came out of here in the state championship. He's going to be a stud on defense, but he's going to play some offense. I would be absolutely shocked that he doesn't get on the offensive side of the ball in certain schemes.
Yeah, look at the entire class. You have another kid here, TJ Taylor, who's 6'3". There are very, very big people in this class that will have the ability to put on a lot of weight and be very, great prospects in the future. TJ has great athleticism. He's a great player right now. But what's he going to look like when he puts on 20 pounds throughout the program?
Of the local guys, Dano, that I know from this class, to me, he's the most intriguing recruit because he could go so many different ways. He will be on the field, though. There's no doubt about it. Star
Ledger, All-State second team defensively, as you put it, which is probably his strength right now. But Joe George, in talking to him during the season, he didn't rave about anybody offensively more than TJ Taylor. Loved having him as a target. They ran a triple option down at South Brunswick, but they get a chance to do a little bit more with spreading the ball out. I think that high school, there was a guy, he caught a lot of passes. Oh, yeah, Mohamed Sanu.
And his quarterback's coming here to play for Coach Hill, baseball.
That's right. Perkowski.
Yes.
TJ.
Well, you are a GMC guy, Dano.
So, in all honesty, when you talk about TJ Taylor, this is someone who length, there aren't many that do it better when it comes to going up and getting the ball, and that's good for a defensive guy when you want to be a hawk, and as well as speed. That combination kills.
Yeah, just an exciting kid, exciting person, great family, great body control. You see those clips, there are no clips of him as a receiver, but you see him as a safety when he intercepts the ball.
Absolutely.
He's able to make someone miss. He's able to stop his body, control it, which, if he was a receiver, equates to him being able to get in and out of breaks, his acceleration after he caught the ball to run by some guys.
I saw him do some things in that Piscataway game this year at receiver, like skinny post, getting behind the linebacker in front of the corners, and he did some really nice things and kind of shields his body. He's a very, very interesting recruit.
Now, offensively in that game, he didn't have to do much in that game to make an impact. It was just a little bit of everything, but he defensively was certainly
he did a lot of
in
everything.
that game. Yeah, a lot of
everything.
Yeah, athlete. It's a word on a National Signing Day show when it comes to classification of players. Now, it's kind of overused a lot across the board because when you get to a program, one, maybe two positions are pointed out for you for the most part. Before we get into our next player, what does the word athlete mean to you when you look at it on a piece of paper?
No, that's what you're looking for. That's what you need to fill your program. Athletes that are able to do multiple things, that are able to help you on special teams, that are able to make plays. Athletes make plays. Athletes turn into great players.
Justin Goodwin, that's the name. The running back, athlete, Madison High School. He's from Summit.
He's a winner.
Yeah,
no doubt.
Back-to-back state champion.
37 consecutive victories, playing for Coach Kubik. I mean, Tark, you break it down, and then I'll give you some thoughts after.
Yeah, I think this is junior tape here. You saw the athleticism as you led in with, able to stop his body, get the interception, then accelerate. Throughout these tape, you're going to see great acceleration, great body control, great balance. One of the most important things for running backs, able to get yards after contact, able to make that first person miss, either through power, which he has, being a 6-foot-tall running back, able with balance after someone hits you to be able to continue to move forward. And he has a combination of everything. Plus, he's 6 feet tall. He's a big back.
And when you're playing against bigger schools,
change of direction right there, burst.
27 total touchdowns last year at 10.6 yards per carry average. He was sixth in the state of New Jersey in scoring, 174 points.
Yeah, put up incredible numbers, and some people, because they're very tough, these Rutgers football fans, his numbers were down this year. Well, they were down because they had a quarterback that could throw, they had other running backs that could run, and the coach wasn't running the scores up.
More than 1,000 is down? I mean, you're down if you've had more than 1,000?
I think if you look at stats, we talked about he ran for maybe 400 fewer yards and a couple fewer touchdowns. Here's the thing that I liked about him. It was a rainy night up in Stanhope, New Jersey against Lenape Valley. Old grass high school football field, like the old days. Not a great night to evaluate a running back, though, because the only thing missing that night were cows in the middle of the field. And, early on bottled up a little bit. And then he got to the outside in a sloppy field. And when he hit that second gear, in the mud and the rain, I was like, whoa. And then in the state championship against Mountain Lakes, now he only ran for about 124 yards that night, but they ran for tough yards. And what you want is a guy that's going to win football games. So they did a good job, because that Mountain Lakes team, a small Group 1 school or Group 2 school, but they're tough. So what they did, they run pitch pass that night to him. Now here's the respect. 10 of the 11 guys came up to tackle Justin Goodwin. Just popped it up. I mean, so he's going to be an interesting guy. I would think Tark, it's early in the process, but I think you find a spot for him in the slot, running back, return guy, stuff like that.
Special teams, just like Leon. He's able to be a great athlete with his size, his strength, power, burst. He can fit on multiple special teams.
And a marked man. I mean, let's face it, that Madison football team, the Dodgers, they have the Tri-State's longest winning streak right now with 37 straight. But everybody knew in order to beat them, you got to stop Goodwin. So he carried that number on his back and the big X for the last 3 years. Game in and game out just proved how good he was.
The BioBlast, 3 state titles in a row. He also was the Star-Ledger Morris County Player of the Year. So as you said, marked man. Anytime you're your county's best player, they're coming out to get you.
No doubt.
Our Vision, presented by AT&T. You're on ScarletKnights.com. You should be getting to work if you're an early bird for the most part. Logged into your computer, you're on ScarletKnights.com. Danny Breslauer here with you. Tark Ahmad, Rutgers Director of Recruiting Operations. Mike Quick of MSG Varsity. Remember, lock into a Quick 60 tonight. You can follow him on Twitter at Quick 60. Tark's at Tark Ahmad 65. I'm at Danny Bress RU. We have it all for you at Our Football today for the tweets regarding your national letters of intent. Our Football show on Facebook too. It's a great day, National Signing Day, that first Wednesday in February, and then people like Tark get to sleep for a couple of weeks. But we'll move on to a linebacker with size. Or go to Brazil. Last year was a different country, all over the place. Myles Nash, linebacker, South Jersey we go again, 6'5" at the linebacker spot from Timber Creek High School.
Oh my goodness, this kid has an incredible frame. You're going to see a great athlete on tape here, someone that has the ability to be elite. Very similar to Jamal Morrell, a player that's in our program right now, who's having incredible success. Right there you saw great acceleration, able to finish a play. Put his hand down in high school, but was also the quarterback on the team. Right. Led the team to multiple state championships now. We've had Quanzel Lambert in the program, who's having a great career for us. And this kid's going to continue the tradition here.
There's the athlete mantra again. That's what he was listed as, the number 50 athlete nationally by ESPN.com. Part of back-to-back South Jersey Group 4 titles. Big schools. And I know there's a Group 5 now in New Jersey, but Group 4 is still very, very
That's
big.
That's ridiculous,
I know,
by the way.
I know. Don't worry, I know.
4 is too many.
Sayreville is Group 4, and they're like 1,800 kids. It's remarkable how big some of these schools are, but you got to think about what kind of competition he's going up against. Look at the weather conditions, and he's finding people at 6'5" from the linebacker spot.
Yeah, as I was talking about earlier, big athletes, big kids that are able to do multiple things on the field. Throughout this tape, you see him accelerating, you see him using his hands, finishing plays. Of course, it's a highlight tape, but when you watch highlight tapes, you got to really look for the ability, the athleticism. That right there, that burst,
absolutely.
His length being over 6'5", a big frame, someone that can carry 240 pounds as a linebacker. And then you're talking first-round pick if all those things.
You guys are going to have some fun with him. Coach Flood's going to like this guy, and the staff's going to, wow, this guy's really good.
Yep.
Big day for Kyle Flood. Myles Nash, a big reason for that as his letter of intent comes through. The big board's filling up. I think we got 4 under D-back. We've got 3 under running back. We'll have some more names coming at you in just a moment. You can see it there in the top right of your screen. We have many people running around the Hale Center offices for good reason, as they should. Maybe the story, the feel-good story of this recruiting class. And there's a great article in the paper yesterday about Kamoko Toure. And we're going to put up his highlights coming up now. 1 year of really, he did play his freshman year at East Orange, but now last year at Newark Behringer, leads the state in sacks. I mean, to have a guy this raw, to get to mold him, that must be really exciting for you.
Yeah, these highlights are going to speak for themselves. Just an incredible athlete, one of the best that I've ever seen on the field. He's another long athlete, 6 foot, 6 feet tall. Came here to our camp, accelerated at our camp with elite in the world numbers. I believe he's state champion triple jumper.
And long jump.
And long jump, maybe it was long jump, not
no,
triple.
both.
Oh,
both.
wow.
Yeah.
Impressive. And what he did, you know, when you see an athlete like this, you get excited, but you don't know, are they going to put their face on someone? Are they going to be physical? Will they use their hands? Is he going to be someone that runs into people with his shoulders, or will he lock someone out and then burst? I mean, look at that acceleration. That's a 220-pound, 6'6" person who's an elite athlete at that size, winning the state championship in triple jump, long jump. Great get-off, absolutely great get-off. When you look at D linemen, especially the guys that play on the edge, you're looking for a great first step. You're looking at how much ground does he gain on that first step. You're looking for length. And this kid has everything. Right there, oh my goodness, you see that? Split those two guys, split the running back, the fullback, and then accelerating.
Mike Behringer hadn't been to a state tournament in 26 years.
Yeah.
And he's the real reason why. I mean, third-team All-State, and he had 19 sacks.
Well, led the state, and I think a couple of things that you like about him is, one, he kind of has to battle adversity because he goes to Newark Tech. So leaves Newark Tech to go play at Behringer because Newark Tech doesn't have a football team. So he's allowed to do that. So he's in school with different kids, then goes play football at another school. But the biggest thing is confidence. This guy never played football. Bets his coach this year, I'll have at least 16 sacks. He was wrong. He led the state with 19. So, I mean, when you have a kid that has never played the sport, plays for 1 year, and has that type of confidence, sky's the limit.
He had to teach himself the vernacular of football. Had to know what a sack was. I mean, these kind of things. That's amazing that someone can get a grasp of the sport that is has so many intricacies and idiosyncrasies to it, to go out and do what he did. 19 sacks, take Behringer to a state title. You mentioned it. Essex County Votech, in addition to East Orange, and then now Behringer, to have to go school to school to school, and it's not necessarily where you're going to school that you play football, because if they don't have a football team, you get to go play.
Yeah. It's great, and I applaud you guys as a staff, because the easy thing would have been, he's not a football player, he's never really played, let's not recruit him. But why not take a chance? See, I'm a firm believer there's not enough staffs in college football that take chances. I think this, I mean, look, at a year ago, when you guys started to recruit him and he came to your camp, did you know right away, like, wow, this kid's going to be good? Or did you kind of say, let's take a shot?
It's calculated chances. It's saying, you know, here's this kid's physical ability, here's this kid's character, here's this kid's family, and then calculating all those things, saying this is where he projects. And when you were able to do that, then it wasn't that big of a chance, because we had all those things. It's a chance because he had not played a full season yet on the varsity level, but we had him live. We had him run in front of us. We had him do drills. We had him do pass rush. We had him do, you know, everything that we needed to see. We met his family. We had his grades. We knew his intelligence. We had all those things, which to me equates to a great prospect.
Dan, you know,
and then the production on the field.
And you know what the best thing about a recruit like that is? It's very simple. It's like getting an international basketball player to come to America.
Exactly.
You ain't got no bad habits because you don't
Sure.
know what you're doing, which means you're getting clay. And you can mold it the way you want to, and you're not going to have to fight through bad habits, and that is a huge step.
And they're 6'10", and they can shoot 22-foot jumpers usually. It comes to that, too.
That works, too. That works, too.
The first name...
The basketball and Dan is coming out right now.
The first name Mike Quick mentioned at 6 a.m. when he walked into the Hale Center today is where we're going to go next. John Simmons out of Bergen Catholic, the wide receiver. He's on the board. 18 names are now on the board. 6 foot 175, Harrington Park, New Jersey. Clark, you want to get us going on John Simmons?
Sure. Yeah, I haven't seen this tape yet. But knowing John, knowing what our staff thinks of him, he is a great receiver. He is a great player in and out of breaks, a great player with ball skills. You know, everyone has a wheelhouse of where they can catch a football. He has one of the largest wheelhouses that we've ever evaluated. Makes plays with people all over him. Nothing can distract this kid. He must have some of the best discipline, focus of anyone that we've ever brought in as a receiver.
Mike Quick, anytime you go for 10 catches, 152, and a pair of scores against Don Bosco Prep, you've done something right. That's what he did his junior year before missing his senior year with injury. Number 5 wide receiver in the Garden State, according to NJVarsity.com. He does it all.
I'd like to see who the other 4 are, because right now, I'm going to tell you this, he may not fit the mold, but John Simmons is a player. Jimmy Cavallo calls him the magician. Tark said it. There's not a spot on the field that this guy cannot operate at.
See the way he was able to adjust that ball stop his body. That ball was misthrown behind him, or it was a back shoulder fade. I don't know. But he was able to stop, adjust, and get that ball, which not every receiver has. It's an incredible skill trait. And it's hard to evaluate because most receivers don't get that many balls thrown to them in high school.
Step up in a big rivalry game like this, and you know you've done something right.
And you're doing it against major Division I corners. There's a young man there, Uri Wright. He's off playing college football right now. The other young man, we're not going to mention his name because he's an underclassman, but he's a high-level recruit. They both covered him that night. Let me change that. They both tried to cover him that night. And that young man, that underclassman, I asked him about this guy, TSIMIS. And he goes, listen, he comes out of the huddle, he lines up, you don't expect anything, and the next thing you know, you're chasing him. John TSIMIS is special. And congratulations to Kyle and his staff for when John got hurt, that they still offered him a scholarship. John could have come back and played this year at the end of the season for Bergen Catholic. He could have. It would have been close. But that staff decided the best thing was his future, not to win another game or two.
Sure.
And would they have won a championship with him? I don't know. You know, that was a great championship game they played against Paramus Catholic. But the fact that, and this is what parents have to understand, the fact that you guys offered a local kid who was hurt at the time says a lot about this staff. It says a lot about this staff. We're going to protect our backyard, but we're going to also care for our backyard. And that is a great, great recruit. Don't look at his size. Just look at his name when he runs into the end zone out here in the back, because he's going to score a lot of touchdowns.
Last note on John TSIMIS, leaves Bergen Catholic #1 in 5 different categories. Anytime you leave there ranked #1 in anything, you know that you've gone out and you've had yourself a heck of a high school career in 3 years.
You know who runs around, though? You know, it pained me to see this a couple of weeks ago. Do you know who's being inducted into the Bergen Catholic Football Hall? No, the Bergen Catholic Hall of Fame.
Overall? No.
Overall. They've obviously run out of people. Darren Rizzi. I couldn't believe when I got that text that Riz was going into the Hall of Fame. It's like they're running dry up there on the corner of Oradell and Forest.
Special teams ace.
Hey, how about Riz? Former Rutgers coach, named one of the top 25 players in the history of the Bergen-Bosco rivalry. Riz is a good man.
Impressive.
He's a good man.
That's Mike Quick. He's Tark Ahmad. I'm Danny Breslauer. Our Vision presented by AT&T. Come right back. It's National Signing Day. The special rolls on. National Letters of Intent filling up the big board for the class of 2013 at the Hale Center in Piscataway. More after this. It's not your average Wednesday morning. It's National Signing Day, and that's where we are at the Hale Center in Piscataway, New Jersey, on Rutgers Bush campus. Danny Breslauer, Tark Ahmad, Rutgers Director of Football Recruiting Operations. Mike Quick of MSG Varsity, a quick 60 later tonight. Kyle Flood joins him at 8 p.m. Kyle will be all over the place today, and that starts, of course, with his 1 p.m. press conference to go over the entire signing class. That airs live on Our Vision via ScarletKnights.com as well as SNY. So now that we've given you a little bit of the taste of those that are signing today for the 2013 class, and there are still more to come, we'll go to those that got a little bit of press last week, the early enrollees. And before we give you their names individually and what they'll bring to the table for the Rutgers football family, let's go to a feature, an Our Vision look-in at the early enrollees.
Lester Lister, Flint, Michigan, middle linebacker.
Dante Ayers from Wacomico High School, running back.
Nadir Barnwell, I'm from Piscataway and I play corner.
Deion Stinson from Saraville, New Jersey, and I play cornerback.
Chris Laviano, Brookville, New York, quarterback.
The biggest thing that affected my decision was the coaching staff here. You know, I got the chance to meet and be around a lot of coaching staffs. And being here, they keep a family atmosphere. You know, and that's something I truly appreciate, and that's something I really wanted to be a part of. And Coach Flood is a great coach.
Well, I got to know Coach Flood 10th grade when he was, you know, the recruiter for my area. And then when he came head coach, you know, I saw that side of him too.
I have a great relationship with the coaching staff. You know, they definitely care about you. It's definitely a family. They definitely want to make sure that you're at your full potential.
Honestly, one man brought me here, Dave Cohen. I've been knowing him for 3 years, and he's like a second dad to me. And I feel comfortable with him. You know, he came here from Western Michigan, so I guess I followed the suit and came here to come play for him and come play for Rutgers.
Coach Rob Smith, he recruited me. He was the DC here. And I mean, I liked him a lot. My mom likes him. My brother likes him. So he pretty much helped me stay here.
I'm here early, so I'm planning on coming in the spring, compete, you know what I mean, give it all I have. You know what I mean, I want to impact early, you know what I mean, I want to give my all to this program as this program is giving this all to me.
You know, you get to know the players early before the season starts, so you're comfortable around all the guys, which is a big part of being quarterback. You got to have a relationship with a lot of guys on your team, and the speed of the game is a lot different going from high school to college, so that should help me a lot.
I just want to be great, you know, because Sheen Green was a great player here, Steve Beharness, but I don't want to follow in their footsteps. I want to follow in my own footsteps, and I want to make my own footsteps. I know that I got big shoes to fill, and I'm looking forward to filling those shoes.
You know, Coach Flood definitely cares about the program, cares about the kids. You know, he cares about, you know, everybody. He makes sure that everybody can, you know, do everything to their full potential.
An underscored, unsung aspect of the recruiting game, early enrollees and what they bring to the table. You just saw the 5 there: Dante Ayers, Nadir Barnwell, Chris Laviano, Lester Liston, and DeLon Stevenson. What is it like to have such a support staff that you know you can rely on to get these 5 in right away for spring practice?
This says 2 major things. It says, you know, our assistant coaches have done a great job staying on top of this, being organized and getting the information to our academics, who in turn have done an incredible job communicating with the clearinghouse, having a plan to get these guys halfway through, which is led up by Jenna Beverly, the head of academics for the football program, who ensured all 5 guys were here in classes, ready to go, so they can get an extra spring semester before, or spring season before the fall.
You think that when you cover early enrollees that sometimes they become the most mature aspects of a program, especially those kids coming out of high school, that they get that extra semester in there in terms of practice?
I think it's important for all of them, but for one in particular, the quarterback. If the quarterback can get here early, that's a great thing. Now listen, we've talked about it before. You guys have crazy and passionate fans here at Rutgers, and you read some of this stuff on the blogs and everything like that. Chris Laviano is not going to be the quarterback here next year at Rutgers, okay, all you people? The greatest thing, Tark, you want to redshirt the kid. Now, you're not going to say that right now, but that's the greatest thing. I will tell you this about the Holy Trinity quarterback. 4-year starter, which means he's taken an unbelievable amount of snaps. He's made an unbelievable amount of throws. What I watched as a freshman, they played St. Anthony in the Catholic League Championship. They lost 28-21. You could see that year that he was going to be special. What I've seen the last couple of years, his protection packages have not been that strong the last couple of years. They've been a young team out there in Hicksville, Long Island. What you see is almost a Rocky Balboa movie. He gets hit, he gets back up, he gets hit again, he gets back up, he gets hit again, he gets back up. No matter how many times he was hit, he was always taking that last snap in the football game. He's a competitor, he's a warrior. I like the first game he had this year. I think it was against St. Francis from Buffalo. Yep. Down 4 touchdowns, early 4th quarter, comes all the way back with 4 touchdown passes, through for just under 400 yards. He's a competitor who just keeps going and going and going. And remember, Rocky always won those fights at the end.
Rocky knew how to climb those steps.
Won those fights.
Now, Tark, since we'll start there, now that Chris Laviano's been brought up, the quarterback, what he brings to the table.
Chris has an incredible, he's had incredible development. Mm-hmm. Like you said, he's played for 4 years. You don't have many high school quarterbacks that start for 4 years. From evaluating a lot of people in this program, you're going to see great footwork, great athleticism, and a hidden speed that not many people know, that this kid is a sub 4.7 40 kid electric. Mm-hmm. He's well beyond his years with his accuracy, which comes from starting for 4 years in high school. The footwork is extremely impressive. From the quarterback coaches that have been here, they've all been extremely impressed with his drops, which is the secret for a quarterback. Setting your feet. In a West Coast offense, and the majority of pro-style offenses, it's all about that drop, getting your feet set, and getting the ball out of your hands, getting to your second read, adjusting your feet. And he's a master at that at a young age.
Absolutely.
They talk about pro-style. They talk about West Coast, the 2 terms you just mentioned. He completed over 60% of his passes. Mike Quick, you don't see that out of any high school quarterback. Those are numbers you get in college. Most guys, they'll get their 7-8 passes a game in a lot of run-heavy offenses, and they may complete 4 or 5.
Dan, 60% under duress. Believe me, there were times where I felt bad for him. I'm not kidding, after games, because there were just people in his face relentlessly. You talked about his footwork, Tark. What I love, look how compact he is with the throw. He's not like a right fielder trying to throw somebody out at home plate. He's like a catcher trying to pin the guy at second, wastes no motion, just snaps it off. He is going to be really, really good. But again, he's not coming in here to take, Gary Nova's job this fall. It's not happening. I don't think people understand that position, there's no position like it in sport.
The learning curve is ridiculous.
You've made 50 starts in high school. Listen, nobody loves high school more than me, but it's high school. It's not the Big East/Big Ten. It's high school. It's going to take time, but a huge advantage getting him here 3 or 4 months ahead of schedule. That's very big.
Certainly. The other thing about this kid, extremely intelligent.
Very.
I mean, extremely intelligent. His ability to process, retain information will allow him to be excellent. Allow him to have a huge playbook. Allow him to make those checks on line of scrimmage, check the protections, put himself in a good position, get one-on-one coverage against a corner, a press corner. He'll see those things, and he'll excel because of that.
Back to the top of the alphabet
certainly.
For the early enrollees. As we continue on, we'll get back to those that are signing today in a few moments on the National Signing Day show. But for early enrollees, back to the top of the alphabet, another running back. I mean, you have some talented running backs. As we look up to the big board, and that is officially our cue for Dorian Miller.
Nice.
So we'll keep on the table for a moment these early enrollees, get back to them in a second. A guy from Metuchen right now on the board, down the road, 6'3", 295. He destroys people on offensive lines.
You guys are going to be really excited when you see this. I mean, an extremely powerful, compact, explosive, athletic lineman that will finish blocks. And what you're about to see is him on both sides of the ball making plays. You're going to see a stand-up DN that has the agility of a 220-pounder. That has the agility to change direction, accelerate, and then on the offensive side of the ball, just crush people. You're talking about a kid who's over a 400-pound bencher today. Probably last year at this time he was over a 400-pound bencher. You're talking about someone that was able to run a sub-5040 at 280 pounds as a junior, as a sophomore, whatever it was. And then an incredible athlete.
They had a very good back a couple years ago, who's now going on to college, Errol Lindo, who ran behind him. They ran 90% of plays, did Sal Mistretta, and before him, Bob Ulmer. They ran 90% of plays behind Dorian Miller. In his high school career, he never allowed a sack.
Yeah,
ever. That's Bryant McKinney stuff. I mean, it never allowed a sack.
It's incredible.
Lindo had that great game in the snow a year and a half ago on that Halloween weekend. When you look at this guy, and Tark, right away, when you meet Dorian Miller, and he announced on our show a couple things right away. When he walks in, you would have no idea he's 17 or 18 years old.
When he was 13 and I met him on an unofficial visit, I had no idea that he was a student. Had that full beard since 13 years old. Full
beard. And then when you talk to him, listen, in this day and age of electronic media and everything, and Twitter and Facebook and all, kids don't know how to talk. Okay, this guy, you could sit with him and you could have a 2-hour conversation. He is one of the most engaging athletes, people that I have covered in 26 years. This school has produced great offensive linemen. I would be absolutely shocked if the big fella doesn't become one of those great offensive linemen in the history of Rutgers football 3, 4, 5 years from now. I think he has got an unbelievable upside. The type of guy that Chris Laviano, the day he walks onto this campus, should befriend him. Make sure you feed the big fella. And you know what? If he's around to protect you, it ain't going to be high school. You're going to be able to see when you make those throws at the end because you won't be on the ground.
That great dining hall food will get you quickly over the 300-pound point, so you won't have to worry about having it.
You know what's too? When you see these big offensive linemen, okay, and then you see him in their pads and everything like that, I am always blown away. The night he announced on the show, he comes dressed, nice pair of slacks, sweater. You're blown away when you see them walk in. These are 320-pound men who look in street clothes like they're 250 because they're so athletic. And that's,
a good suit will do that.
Yeah, no, exactly. But you're good, Dano. There's something about this kid that I know has a lot of people out here smiling.
It's his charisma.
No doubt.
It's someone that might have a career in broadcasting afterwards. It's someone that could have a career as in the music industry.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, he's an exciting kid. He's an exciting kid to be around on the field, off the field, everywhere. I've loved his recruiting process. I loved being around him, you know, since his freshman year.
Yeah.
He's been on over 20 unofficial visits.
He's a great kid.
incredible.
I would
Tough ride.
when his career is done playing football, I would like nothing more than to have him come work with us at varsity so I don't have to work with Steve Levy.
The former Cal quarterback, I'm sure, is
believe me,
is
we hear
loving
that all the time.
So, down the road, Grove Street in Metuchen, he stars. The body type we know all about, Dorian Miller. First O-lineman on the board for the class of 2013 here today. The names keep coming in. This one, not as long as Archidiacono, but hyphenated nonetheless. And that is Bryant Gross-Armiento, the defensive back from Florida, 6'1", 190. Out of American Heritage High School.
Bryant Gross-Armiento is another great kid. A great athlete, has a lot of position flexibility. Played safety here on these clips, but has the athleticism to play corner, the speed to play corner, and the physicality of a linebacker. When you see him come up and smack these people, you're going to be really excited. Finishes plays. That's one thing what we saw about Bryant Gross-Armiento. He finishes the plays. He drives people to and through the ground, and is an incredible athlete.
Recently added Armiento to his name to honor his adopted family as well. Had two brothers. I know you played up at Ithaca, correct?
Correct.
His two brothers played at Colgate. So up in the New York area as well. I know a different part of New York, certainly a different corridor, but nonetheless, the Class 5A playoff appearance for him, the number 54 safety prospect by Rivals.com, brings a lot to the table. The versatility you spoke of, defensive back in many different ways, whether it's safety or corner. Had a fumble recovery, 25 tackles as a junior, but his work will not be done on the stat sheet. What they say is that his cover ability is the way to go with him right now, and what he's able to do. You said he can play corner right now.
Yeah, he certainly has all the athletic tools to play corner. Speed, looseness, acceleration, and then an incredible physical player. And another one, extremely high intangibles. He has those intangibles to be a captain here.
I tell you, when you look at this class and you see this young man from Florida and you have DeLon Stevenson and Nadir Barnwell and TJ Taylor, all of a sudden this secondary the next 2, 3, 4 years looks like they have the potential to be, they can be very disruptive, these guys in the Big Ten.
Did Rutgers do that a lot the past few years? I think blocking kicks, that's something that Rutgers and Alabama do better than just about anybody in the country, 30 times.
Country, yeah.
Right. So that's amazing that you put another guy on the outside that can go in and block kicks. So Gross-Armiento on the board for Rutgers football here in 2013. Danny Breslauer, Tarkamad, Mike Quick, National Signing Day special here at the Hale Center in Piscataway. We have another mid-year enrollee to get to. We still have 4 to get to. We had Chris Laviano a moment ago. We'll go to the running back now. He's out of Maryland. He was going to play his final year of high school in Delaware before an injury, but Salisbury, Maryland's Dante Ayers.
You guys are going to be excited watching this young man's tape. You're going to see a combination of speed, power, athleticism, great footwork, and strength. Just one of the strongest young men we've ever brought into this program.
What's this guy squatting? He's got some huge thighs.
Over 600. He's over a 600-pound squatter and probably over a 400-pound bencher.
Wow. He's a muscle.
And you can't believe how loose he is. You can't believe how he has the ability to stop and start the way that he does, the balance, the strength to run through tackles, and the speed to accelerate. After you run through a tackle, it's very hard to accelerate past the next person, and he's got the ability to do that.
Wicomico High School in Maryland, the alma mater of Wayne Warren, the former Rutgers defensive back. This running back right here in Ayers, a 12-yard per carry average as a junior. He was rated the #2 running back in the Mid-Atlantic by Super Prep. So these are a bunch of talents at the running back spot that you're bringing in right now for this class.
Yeah, you can never have too many good running backs. Running backs are one of the most important positions on the field. They're called the erasers. They have the ability to erase a mistake of anyone else on the field because of their athleticism, the ability to make someone miss that's not accounted for, that safety that you just can't block. And he has that ability. He has the ability to be an eraser.
He's an eraser of defenses.
It's like when you look at running, we all used to say, oh, he's too small. And I think Ray Rice has changed the way people look at running back. Oh, no, he's not small. He's just short.
Shifty.
Yeah, so, and I was as guilty, he's too small. No, he's just short. He's a big, he's a big man. He's just not, that tall.
How any human being can call Ray Rice small is beyond me when you look at what he puts on a 5'7" frame.
Yeah, there's definitely a direct correlation between size and strength for that position. Yeah. If you're going to have a smaller guy, they need to be physically developed so they can, one, take that pounding, but two, have the strength to break tackles, to keep their balance. If you don't have that strength, you don't have the ability to stay balanced.
Hey, did Ray ever ask if he could play defense when he was here?
Not when I was around.
Not that I remember.
Boy, I'll tell you what, he was an unbelievable defensive player.
Play basketball too.
Yeah, nothing impressed me more than him on the basketball court. You see a 5'7.5", 5'8" guy just go up and do a 360, a windmill. Incredible.
The last time Mount Vernon didn't win the Section 1 basketball championship was against New Rochelle.
Right. Sure.
Michael Coburn, who came here, was a sophomore guard from Mount Vernon.
Jonathan Mitchell, Kevin Jones. Kevin Jones would have been younger at that point. So
Kevin was younger.
Jonathan Mitchell would have been on that team.
Guy. Jeff McDermott was the best player on the team.
Right.
Who I was praying
Providence
would come here. He went to Providence to play basketball.
Right.
His dad, till this day, will tell you should have come here and played both. Ray Rice locked down Michael Coburn that day. That's why they won.
Wow. Michael Coburn, good kid.
Great.
Some R Vision stuff with us a few weeks ago.
Mike's
so
a good. Please tell Mike I said hello. His high school coach, Bob Semino, just got his 400th career victory last week against Scarsdale.
I promise you it's not National Signing Day for basketball today. It's National Signing Day for football, and we are here. What town are we in, by the way? Piscataway, right? So we'll go to Piscataway High School next. Nadir Barnwell, 5'11", 190 defensive back. But if you saw him at quarterback, you would not believe him the last 3 years in the GMC Red Division.
Electric. That's the word that you say when you see this kid. Incredible ability to accelerate, make people miss, dynamic playmaker. He's going to be an extremely exciting player in Piscataway for the next 4 years.
Dan Higgins speaks highly of many people, but Nadir Barnwell is one that comes to his lips right away.
Well, it's unbelievable when you think about it, because Dan Higgins is the only high school football coach in the history of the sport to have three #1 recruits in a 2-year period. Malcolm Jenkins, your guy Anthony Davis the following year, and then Kyle Wilson. And as good as those guys were, if you ask Higgins, this is the most special guy he's ever had. And I think the greatness of Nadir, who is an unbelievable tackler, Tark, as you know, his ability to make people around him better. When he went out this year, earlier in the year, separated his shoulder in the Immaculata scrimmage on August 26th. That's that great tackle against Sayreville, where he just, everybody knew that was his junior year. But he separated his shoulder on August 22nd in the scrimmage against Immaculata. It was a different Piscataway team. He comes back, not because of his talent, because of his leadership ability. And I watched them scrimmage against Wayne Hills. You should have seen him on the sidelines in their game scrimmage. He was a coach. He was a flat-out assistant football coach that day. He's a super kid, and you were smiling when we were talking about him before.
I absolutely love this kid. Again, another one that I've known since 8th grade, 7th grade. What stands out to me about him is his competitiveness. He's a kid that had 30, 40 offers, could pick any school in the country. He came to our camp as a junior going into his senior year. Kids like that don't go to camp. They shut it down by then.
Yeah.
But he wanted to prove that he was the best one. He wanted to run around and dominate on the field, which he did.
Number 11 athlete in the nation. You mentioned very different from when they lost to Old Bridge in September to when they eventually take on Elizabeth in the state championship game. He made that team different. He spoke about the Piscataway High School program as a whole. And Kyle Wilson, Anthony Davis, and Malcolm Jenkins played on that state title team in 04 that lost to Phillipsburg on the same team.
Right out here, right?
Right out here on the field.
28-26?
2-point conversion stopped at the goal line. So, I mean, that is what you talk about with a program that he comes from that wins. And now he brings that mentality here.
Certainly. He's a winner. That's a great way to say it. He's a winner.
Alphabetically, we've done Ayers, Barnwell, Laviano, and the early enrollees. To Lester Liston we go, out of Michigan. Linebacker prepped at Hargrave Military Academy in Virginia. I know this is another special talent.
You guys are going to love this highlight. Watch this kid run through this through the line of scrimmage. This kid can lay wood. He brings it oomph every single time that he hits you.
Oh, my goodness.
So
98 tackles.
He runs through you.
I don't really need to say much. Everything will just speak for itself right here. His acceleration, balance. He was a great running back in high school also. I don't think many people Probably very few know that.
At Grand Blanc High
But
School, 7.1 yards per carry as a
Great
senior.
athlete.
So now this becomes interesting because you're going to the Big Ten and you're getting a kid out of Michigan. So how is going to the Big Ten going to change your recruiting philosophy, or is it?
I don't know. That's a very good question that we're going to analyze in the offseason. You know, do some studies, read some data, or get some data of our own, and then make a decision on that.
Number 3 prep school linebacker in the country, according to Rivals.com. Hargrave Military Academy churns out a lot of athletes. Lester Liston is another one of them who helped guide Grand Blanc to a district playoff appearance when he was out in Michigan. But you said it, it's the power in these hits. I mean, he doesn't let anybody land.
He's explosive.
Is he related to Sonny Liston?
I'm sure what's the most
Same
important part of
knockout
the
ability.
punch is
really.
the follow-through, right? You know,
Wow.
at this point, that's what he brings to the table, is that follow-through on the hit.
He's huge, guys. I mean, this is a 6'2" linebacker that's 230-plus pounds today that walked in the door. It's exactly what you're looking for.
So in these early enrollees, we've had a linebacker who can run all over the place in airs. We've had a dual threat quarterback who's going to play defensive back in Nadir Barnwell. We've had Chris Laviano, a pro-style quarterback. Yep. Now we have Lester Liston, a hard-hitting linebacker. And the final one is another former running back who's very shifty offensively, but now a defensive back, DeLon Stevenson, who went to Milford Academy in New York. He's originally from George Najar's program down at Sayreville High School.
DeLon's another exciting player. He's an exciting kid, has a dynamic personality. Same on the field, has a dynamic ability. You're going to see a lot of clips here as a running back. He has the ability to play corner, safety, slot receiver, X receiver. The kid has the ability to do anything he wants. He's a very gifted athlete. From everything from top-end speed, acceleration, burst. I think that's, who's he playing in that game? But he tore up everyone in this league.
I believe.
Specifically had a great run against Piscataway a few years ago, ran away from one of the fastest teams in this area. And it's something that he'll continue to do. I don't know where he'll play in college. The kid loves safety, but has that ability to play anything. Let him running away from people, turning around.
He looks back,
That's probably not what you want to do
No.
right there. You want to go to the goal line. But
He did put it on the goal line. 2010
Very nice
Home
of him.
News Offensive Player of the Year. Can you have a different body type from your brother?
It's like Schwarzenegger and DeVito.
Daryl and DeLon.
Yeah. You know, and Tark, we talked about it before. Guy, you like competitors, guys that want to compete. Well, when we named Daryl to our first team, National Football Foundation, MSG Varsity All-Metro team, his senior year, DeLon was second team. He didn't like that. He did not like that. He was very mad.
Yeah.
He was mad. He was mad at me.
And I can't say, I'm sorry to cut you off, I can't say enough about his mother.
Yeah.
This is an amazing lady. Works 2 jobs, does everything she can for these kids, and she's raised 2 amazing kids.
Well, they're great kids. And when he got mad at me, I said, listen, just prove me wrong. Be on the first team next year. And he did. Yep. You know, he had a 99-yard interception return in a playoff game out back here against Manalapan. Yep. Had 6 interceptions his senior year at Sayreville, a whole bunch of tackles. He's another guy that's going to fit in great with this secondary. But I tell you, you're bringing in some terrific guys.
Just wait till
in
you
the
guys
secondary.
see his body. He's not the same kid
Much
that played
different,
as a senior.
yeah.
I mean, he's possibly up to like 195 pounds now.
Is he really?
Oh, my goodness. He's
195.
amazing. He is jacked
He was probably
up.
170 soaking wet at that
He's
point.
going to hurt
I mean-
people then. He'll hurt people.
So he'll be a defensive back with
Your
a major
secondary.
running
This
back.
is a great secondary
Great
group.
class, yeah.
And great specialists, guys that can go out and play just about anywhere on the field, and that allows for flexibility for Kyle Flood.
Yeah.
He's back there in his office right now watching this big board fill up on National Signing Day on Our Vision, presented by AT&T. Danny Breslauer, Rutgers Director of Recruiting Operations, Tark Ahmad. Mike Quick of MSG Varsity, a quick 60s tonight. That's at 8 with Kyle Flood joining the fray, as I'm sure many other guests as well will
you could call
come
that
aboard.
show, too.
You can, that's right.
Absolutely. I want all those crazy Rutgers fans calling the show tonight.
Got to give your producer a little bit of a shout out. He's the man who sits there with you.
Who, Raph?
Yeah, he's great.
Let me tell you
He's
something
great.
about this guy, Raph, okay? Did you see the Super Bowl ad this year when
did.
the guy was making out with the model?
Yep.
We ran a clip last night on the show. It looked exactly like Raph circa 4 years ago. Now, he's cleaned his act up a little bit, but I love the Raph. You don't know the Raph, do you?
No, I'm not familiar
You're
with
lucky.
The RAF.
Yeah, he is. It started as just like a little joke 4 years ago. We kind of put him on and said, let's have some fun. And believe me, wherever you know who is
You seem like you're having a great time all the time.
It's bizarre. You know who his biggest fan is?
Who's that?
I hate to say this. It's Darius Hamilton.
Is it really?
Darius can't get enough of the RAF.
So there you go.
It's bizarre.
That was probably the easiest announcement you've ever landed then before?
Oh,
probably just came to you right away.
And then he's like, Darius came that night, and when he saw Raf, he goes, "Oh, I've always wanted to meet you." And Raf got all excited.
Wow.
And then Darius is like, "Yeah, I like him better than I like Mike."
Well, somehow a Bar Raffaele ad makes our way into the National Signing Day show, but we'll move it along so that we stay away from that. Defensive end is where we go next. Nick Internicola from Florida. He's been a great ambassador of the program since he's committed to Tark.
Tremendous ambassador, tremendous family, and even better on the field. Just wait till you see the clips. Acceleration, has the athleticism of a linebacker, the strength, the physicality of a defensive end, defensive tackle, just punishing people, driving people through the ground.
Class 3A state championship as a senior. He won the Max Preps Minutemen Trophy, and you know what that is? That's for the small school national champion with his team. He had 7.5 sacks, 18.5 tackles for loss. A kid who was born in Boston, moved to Florida at the age of 8. I think that was a good decision for his football career, probably in getting spotted down there in the Fort Lauderdale area. Yeah,
he's an exciting player. He is so athletic on the defensive line. Such great acceleration, uses his hand, comes off blocks, finishes people. He's going to have a great career. He'll be playing at our R position here.
So Nick Internicola from Florida will be another one on the Rutgers defensive line, and counting Internicola, 5 D linemen up on the board, 3 ends with WIAFE, Torre, Internicola, defensive tackles with KLECKO and Joseph. D-back is heavy right now, running back as well as Tark mentioned before, the offensive lineman and Dorian Miller, but that probably fills up 3 spots on the board anyway with what he brings to the table in girth. So Nick Internicola, another member of the 2013 class.
You saw him there at the end of those clips in a 2-point stance. He has that ability to cover a tight end, to cover a running back out of the backfield, which allows us then, bring 2 guys from the opposite side. Now he's covering number 3.
He's impressive on tape. Yeah. He's very, very impressive.
Just as or more impressive in person when you meet him and his family.
Versatility on and off the field.
Let me ask you this, in all honesty. I've never asked Kyle this. I never asked Greg this.
I'll try not to lie.
Okay. Young guy comes in here. Great player. Like a huge, can't miss guy. Not a good guy. Do you offer him?
No. Character is by far the most important thing here.
Good.
Because that would be a cancer to the rest of the program.
Yep.
You can't take a risk on those kids. No matter how attractive it is, immediate potential to play, if he's going to bring down other people and bring down the program, nothing's worth it.
You call it a family. And that's the most important thing. The Rutgers football family, as we're welcoming various commits to the Rutgers football family today here on ScarletKnights.com. The names that are there, they have made it official. They have put their John Hancock on a piece of paper, sent it through the fax machine, and through the beauties of modern technology, they've made their way to the Hale Center in Piscataway. We'll come back with more on National Signing Day, our special show on Our Vision, presented by AT&T. As we mentioned off the top of the show, it's one of the most anticipated days on the college and high school football calendar, National Signing Day, our special at the Hale Center in Piscataway, New Jersey. You got a shot of the big board a moment ago. Danny Breslauer, along with Tark Ahmad, the director of Rutgers Football Recruiting Operations, Mike Quick, MSG Varsity, a quick 60. That's tonight at 8 o'clock with Kyle Flood joining in as well. The Big Ten. That's where Rutgers is heading, leaving the Big East Conference, and the Scarlet Knights have their new home because they were able to introduce it early on this year. You get a look at Tim Pernetti, Jim Delaney, the commissioner of that conference. Tark, how exciting is it for you as a program to know that you're going to one of the giants in the Big Ten?
Well, it's amazing for the program. It's amazing for the university. On the field, off the field, the symposium that it opens up for us. It's the next step. It's where we need to go.
Academically, the CIC, the AAU, all major things that went into this for Rutgers. And Mike, as someone who covers the tri-state in athletics and really getting to know these kids, of course, you get to know their lives beyond just their athletic side of things. What kind of effect do you think this has on high schools around the area?
As long as these guys keep recruiting the state of New Jersey, they could play in any conference in America. I think it got people excited. There's no doubt about it. And I think what's happened with the Big East, thankfully you guys got out when you did, because you look at some schools right now and their heads are spinning in that
Limbo.
Big East Conference. Like, what are we going to do? Where's our future? So the great thing is for young recruits, they know there's a bright future here at Rutgers in the conference that you're going to play in, and that helps. And when I said to Tark before, do you change your recruiting philosophy? Do you go to Ohio? Do you go to Michigan? And after you answered it, I said to myself, that was a stupid question. Just get New Jersey kids and you'll be fine.
Twitter at @rfootball all day long. Our football show on Facebook. That is where you'll keep tabs on anything signing day related. Jason Baum will keep you up to date on that. Before we wrap things up, how about this class as a whole, Tark? We'll start with you. What it means going from a top 25 class a year ago to, again, this class, first in the Big East, fourth if you were in the Big Ten right now. You made a pretty big impact here with 2013.
Yeah, I couldn't be happier with this class. Today it's a good class, and in 4 or 5 years from now, it's going to be a great class.
That's
when
the
you
thing.
see the way these guys develop, you know, the common themes of this day was length, athleticism, high character. For everyone across the board, they had those characteristics. That's what the NFL is looking for. They're looking for size. All of them have that size. They have the size. They're either average or above average for the average NFL prototypes, the body prototypes. And then the intangibles, the character. It's elite.
You know, it's funny when you think of, when I look at your football program, what has changed here in the last 12, 13 years, it's a lot like the UConn basketball program. It was nothing until Jim Calhoun got there. Then they start to win. Then they start to put a lot of guys in the pros. Sound familiar? Get here, start to win, a lot of guys in the pros. It's a destination where kids come. They get a great education. They learn how to play the game better than they did. They get better and better and better. And a lot of these guys end up in the pros. And for a recruit, what a better selling point. Education, a chance to be a pro one day and win a Big Ten title. Let's go.
Mike, have a great broadcast tonight on A Quick 60, and thanks so much for coming aboard.
This was a lot of fun. I appreciate it. I thought Bound would get me a cup of coffee on the way down here, but, you know, once again, my man JB, he's the best. You guys are lucky to have him here at Rutgers. You really are.
Tark Ahmad's second year in a row. I think that this seat pretty good. You recruit well when you sit in this seat. Last year was on the other end of floor 2 in the team meeting room. This year put together another great class, so congratulations, Steve.
Yeah, thank you very much. You did a great job with this.
Thanks a lot, Tark. On behalf of our entire R Vision crew, producer Jason Baum, director Colin Osborne, and the entire Rutgers Athletic Communications team, I'm Danny Breslauer saying so long from the Hale Center in Piscataway, New Jersey. Rutgers season opener at Fresno State in late August, August 29th on a Thursday night. Stay tuned for details on ScarletKnights.com.